अज़ान दे दो आप इंशाअल्लाह। أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله
أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله
أشهد أن محمدا رسول
أشهد
الله
أن محمدا رسول الله
أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله
حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. Brothers and sisters, pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that may Allah give us sincerity to speak the truth in the light of the Quran and the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to understand them, to accept them in the hearts and to apply them in our life. Ameen thumma ameen. Today inshallah we will be starting the speech and the khutbahs all about the Hajj and its importance in Islam, its objectives in Islam, and where it is mentioned in the Quran and how Prophet ﷺ has performed his Hajj, and as Muslims what are our obligations to that. But today inshallah I will be talking about the objectives of it, because this is not only for the Muslims, even for the non-Muslims who say that Muslims, they claim to be, worshipping one God, but they are not worshipping one God. They are worshipping Kaaba as a building, and specifically in the Kaaba they worship black stone as well. So this is how the non-Muslims, they have this issue with our Tawheed. And the third issue was normally raised by the Hindus in India. They say that the Kaaba was actually their place. Kaaba was their place, and because Muhammad ﷺ, when he conquered Makkah, it was the people were worshipping 360 gods. So according to the Hindus, it was the mandir for them, it was a temple where the Hindus or the mushrikeen of Arab used to worship idols, statues, which is very common in India. They worship, the idols and statues of Ram and all their deities that they ascribe to. So they are saying that Muhammad ﷺ has promoted to change the places of worship of non-Muslims into masjid by force. So this is their claim as well. Also, the Christians on YouTube, if you see, Jews are not talking so much about it, about the places of worship converted to masajid and the mosque. But the Christians, they do speak about this issue that Muslims are actually invading the non-Muslim countries, Western countries, either through war or through their, false dawah or preaching, and later on they change the houses of, the churches and synagogues into masajid. So when they come up with this idea, they are actually creating the threats in the minds of the Christians and the Jew, who are the modern Christians and modern Jew in the Western countries. And they are not like a practicing Christians or practicing Jew, but they are modern people, but they believe in the Christianity or Judaism, and they think, yes, it is true. Compared to, one place, maybe your own parents would be saying when you came to Luton, when they came to Luton, there was maybe not a single masjid. But then later on, from one masjid to, in couple of years, it became 23 masjid. And some of them are, the places which were churches or synagogues were sold afterwards, and they were converted to the mosque. So they have this kind of issue. So today's topic is all about the objective of Hajj. In this, inshallah, I will speak about the historical importance of Hajj first, and then inshallah I will, whatever the remaining subjects will be there, which will be covered. But as Muslims, we should put our trust in the Quran and the Hadith. Always remember that. Even when the Muslims, they read the historical informations coming from our scholars, our Asian books, this is the only source for the non-Muslims. Pay attention to this. Very important point for you people to understand, that when the non-Muslims are talking about against Islam, when the non-Muslims are talking about, negative of Islam, majority of their sources, they come from our historical books. They don't refer directly to the Quran, and they don't go to the commentaries given by our Mufassirin, because our Mufassirin will give the tafsir of the Quran based on the Hadith, based on how the Sahaba have explained. So these non-Muslims, they will not rely on those. Some of those points, if it is mentioned in Ibn Kathir, or if it is mentioned in Tabri, or if it is mentioned in Qurtubi, so these non-Muslims will take those points because it is supporting their ideas. So then they will say, look, it is mentioned in Ibn Kathir. Your scholar is saying this. Your scholar has quoted this, that the Muslims are doing this. And this is very common. Like for example, the last battle of Hunain. It is mentioned that when Rasulullah conquered battle of Hunain, Sahaba, who were, they came from Medina, they were in the war of Makkah for many days, and then they went to Hunain. So they were for a long period, they were away from their houses. They were away from their wives. So Ibn Kathir is quoting the hadith, that the Hunain was the victory for the Muslims. So the Sahaba were desperate. Now pay attention. This is how the non-Muslims, they look from the Tafsir Ibn Kathir. Tafsir Ibn Kathir is one of the most, reliable and most authentic tafsir for our, Muslims to understand the Quran. So they go back to those things, and from that, this source, they will bring this one of the evidence. They quote this hadith of Musnad Imam Ahmad, that the Sahaba were desperate, They were not even waiting for anything. When Allah blessed them with the victory, they just wanted to rape the non-Muslim women in the war. These are the words of this non-Muslim. But if you see the tafsir will have different words. But what they are saying, Tafsir Ibn Kathir has quoted from Musnad Ahmad that the companions of the Prophet were so wild to rape the non-Muslim women that they didn't wait for anything, and they just wanted to, abuse the women. they are using the word women. They are not using the women or the captives of the war. They are not using those words. Captive of the wars, male or female, their treatment is different in Islam. But there's another point in this which they are not highlighting it. And the Muslims, non-Muslims will say, yeah, Muslims are barbarians. Oh, Muslims are this, Muslims are that. And they are not reading the whole text. The whole text is saying that the Sahaba waited for Allah to give the revelation, because so far they were fighting only men. All the wars, they were fighting men. And whenever Allah gave them the victory, the captives of war were the men at that time. So the Sahaba were given complete guidance how to deal with the captives of war when they are male. But here, the Hunayn, the women also became the warriors. Women also participated in the war against Islam, to destroy Islam. So they are no more civilian women. There were no more women of the Hunayn where they were sleeping or sitting in their houses and Muslims entered their house and took them out. No, they were the women of the war. And Sahaba, when Allah blessed them with the victory, these women were not been sorted out yet. Means no distributions were not there. They were considered as women, captive women on one side. And the Sahaba were waiting. This is the hadith. Sahaba were waiting for Allah's decision. Sahaba were waiting for Rasulullah's decision. But this kuffar, the haters of the Muslims in Islam, they will bring this issue and they will say, look, Ibn Kathir is quoting from Musnad Imam Ahmad. Musnad is the biggest book of hadith, much earlier than Bukhari. And that book is saying the Sahaba were barbarian and they were waiting anxiously that how we can, abuse this woman sexually. This is how their interpretation. But the hadith doesn't say that. And Quran says, hadith says, continuation, that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam personally came to the Sahaba and said to them, no Muslim will touch any non-Muslim woman. No Muslim will touch any non-Muslim women unless they are clean from their menstrual cycle. Why? Because Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam told them that these women could be pregnant. And these women who are pregnant, they have the right of their children. They have, even their husbands have the right to, ask for the ransom and free them. So you as Muslims, you have no right to touch them till they become clean from their menstrual cycle. Now who would give this command to the people of the war? When Bangladeshi army attacks Pakistani army, and when they get their victory over the people, would they distinguish between women and men? And they will say, no, the Muslim women will. Same thing, when Muslims will go to India and they fight with the non-Muslims or the army, my father has seen that the Pakistani army did everything that they could to the Muslims, regardless whether they're man or woman, regardless they were Muslim or non-Muslims. Same thing, when the Bangladeshi army, they fought with each other, Pakistan and Bangladesh, when they were fighting, they did the same to the women. They didn't realize, because that was no guidance was given to them. They are soldiers. But Islam did give them the guidance properly, and the Sahaba were not barbarians. Sahaba were not, dying after the women's sex. No. They were a proper Sahaba waiting for Allah's command to come. So why I brought this issue to you? To tell you that we have to follow Quran and Hadith with regards to the Hajj as well. Hindus, they say Kaaba is the temple of Hindus, because Rasulullah when he conquered, he removed 360 gods. So how do we know this? From the Quran. And the Hindus and Christians, they say that the Muslims are purposely invading the non-Muslim countries to change their place of worship into masajid. That's also we have to learn. Also the non-Muslims bring these issues that Muslims are barbarians. Muslims are this and Muslims are that. So my point was to make you understand that to learn our religion, we have to go back to Quran and Sunnah, and then we can think of other resources or other sources to learn our deen. And one of them is the history of Islam. But non-Muslims are going back to the histories. They are not going to the Quran. They can't understand. How can they understand? Because when they don't know how to clean themselves properly. This is inverted comma. Because we Muslims can't, clean ourselves properly. We don't know which are the, conditions and terms for the ritual ghusls. Yeah, what are the terms and conditions for the wudu to be accepted and not? When we need wudu, when we need ghusl. This is, even with general Muslims, they don't know all these issues. The menstrual cycle of the women, we don't know those issues. Things when we do, in our religion, what are halal food, what are haram food, we don't know those terms and conditions. How can we expect the non-Muslims to know about Quran? Very common, alhamdulillah. That's why when the non-Muslims, if they want to challenge Islam from the Quran, I'm always open for them, because what they will say about our Quran? They can't say anything about our Quran, because their start is also not in a purification form that we can say. Okay, religious Christians will say, no, our religion starts with the baptism. Okay, that's fine. And then they say, yes, Jesus was also baptized. So, okay, they have this issue. But how many real Christians, they know all these rituals of Christianity? So, let alone our own book. They don't know. So that's the reason I'm telling you, my brothers and sisters, we have to learn our Hajj issues and objective of issues, Hajj, we have to learn from Quran and Hadith, not from the history. Not from the history. Quran speaks about the history, but that is our main reliable sources. And never ever get fooled by Google Sheikh Google. Because Sheikh Google, when you type anything on Sheikh Google, you will get, the top list will be Qadianis and Ahmadis Islam. Remember that. The top will be Qadianis and Ahmadis Islam, because they, mashallah, they spend millions and millions of pounds to be top on the Google search. Any website that is used for search of any Islamic issues, Ahmadi will be on the top. Second, Shias, mashallah. Third, Sufis and Barelvis. Fourth, Deobandis. And fifth, or maybe bottom of that, AL-HAJJs and Salafis. The most sleeping people. But I don't mind saying that. The AL-HAJJs and Salafis, they are only busy in what? Give me the dalil. Give me the dalil. What is the dalil? They are only busy with that. But mashallah, these four categories, Ahmadis on the top. So be careful when you are learning Quran. You should see which Quran translation or which tafsir you are referring to. Second is, when you are learning about the Hadith, and especially about Ahlul Bayt, you have to be careful, because Shias are the second level. Third comes our Sunni people, and amongst the Sunni, the third is our Barelvi brothers, Sufis. And the fourth is Deobandi scholars, Hanafi scholars. And the fifth is, if they are fifth, I don't know, because I don't know about them. So, but the fifth will be our poor people, Al-Hadith and Salafis. In other words, in Islamic religion, Al-Hadith and Salafis are the minorities. So, be careful when you search on that. And even on the Google, whether it is Ahmadi, Shias, Barelvis, Deobandis, Al-Hadith, anybody, you have to, as a father figure, as a learned man, I have to tell you this, that be careful when you are reading the historical informations, then you have to be very, very careful. Because when you talk about the history of Islam, and when two Muslim groups are fighting, then you have to be very careful. They will refute Quran just to support their own things. Like Shia Quran. They will definitely refute the Sunni Quran when they talk about the history of Ahlul Bayt. I'm telling you, be careful with that. Same thing. When Salafis and Sufis are fighting, they will refute Quran of Al-Hadith translation, and they will support their Quran. And this is one Quran. But the Christians are expert, they will know that what Sufi is saying and what Al-Hadith is saying. So they will highlight that, because they are saying, look, two Muslim groups are fighting. So my brothers and sisters who are listening to me, be careful when you go to Sheikh Google. Our Sheikh Google is not our religion. Sheikh Google, these are the 5 Muslim people, so-called Muslim sects, but there are thousands of websites which are established by the non-Muslims in the name of Islam. Those websites are there in the list. And they also pop up first, because they also spend lots of money. and they will refute Quran, they will refute our 6 authentic books. And many of us, we don't know which are our 6 authentic books. And these 6 books are those books which are actually taught in our madrasas and our, or Darul Ulum, our universities. And on the top it comes Bukhari. And on the top it comes, the second top is Muslim. Then Sunans, 4 Sunan. Sunan Tirmidhi, Sunan Abu Dawud, Sunan Ibn Majah, Sunan Nisai. And after that, we give the priority of 2 Imams' books of Hadith. Imam Ahmad, his book, very famous book, Musnad Imam Ahmad, 64,000 Hadith. 64,000 Hadith, more or less. Imam Malik, Rahmatullah alayh, his Muwatta Imam Malik, he's one of the Imams, his books. And then Imam Ad-Darmi. These are the 9 classical books of our, and these people are searching and doing research on that. Last time Mr. Peter was with me in my house, I showed him that look, these are the 9 books, and these are the references for these 9 books, and this is the work, research work done by the non-Muslims. I've shown him. In my house when he came, I showed him that these are the 9 classical books. Muslims are not doing any research work. They have done a research work in such a way, you won't believe. This is the work of the non-Muslims. What they did, suppose if I have word sadaqah, like qul sadaqallah, say Allah is speaking the truth. If I want to know this word sadaqah, Allah ne sach kaha. If I want to know this word sadaqah, where it is found in these 9 books, Harun bhai, pay attention to this. If I want to know, because if I don't have access to the computer, I don't have access to the internet, and if I want to know where this word sadaqah found in 9 books, and you know how many hadith are there in 9 books? More than 80,000 hadith. And how will you find that word in sadaqah in 80,000 hadith? You won't be able to do that. So these scholars who are non-Muslims, they will give you the word sadaqah. And they will say, this sadaqah is found in Bukhari, volume 1, hadith number 1, chapter number 1, like that. And they will give you the quotation, the first word sadaqah, and one related word to that as well. If you want to know sadaqah is sadaqah, who is speaking the truth. So they will help you with that. And all those 9 books, reference will be found in that collection. It's only 7 volumes. It's only 7 volumes, but they have concised that 80,000 books of ahadith into these words, and it is in 7 volumes. This work is done not by the Muslims. This work is done by the non-Muslims. So you can imagine how deep they are in our religion, either to benefit from it, which I doubt, but their main purpose is how to distort it. That's the main purpose of them. So they will do that. So, coming back to this point, today our topic is the objective of Hajj. Generally, we people have the concept of Hajj, what we think, like Hindus they say. Hindus are saying, you can do everything that you want to do in your whole life, good or bad, good or bad. But when you are very close to your end of life, then you can just go and travel to Amritsar or where the Ganges River is there. Go and take a bath in that. In other words, baptize yourself in that river and your sins are forgiven. So don't go early age. No, when you go, then you will have more obligations. So go at the end when you are now, you have no sexual power, no vision power, when the teeth are fallen, your bones are going down and you are on the medicine, then you can go and take your shower in that Ganges River and your sins are forgiven. Same concept we have in our religion today. When the young man, young woman, when they want to go for Hajj, they say, oh, this is not the time for you to go for Hajj. Still, you are too young to go for Hajj. Do everything in your life. Enjoy your life. Then, alhamdulillah, soch hue kha ke billi, Hajj ko chali. Soch hue kha ke billi, Hajj ko chali. This is a very famous saying in our language. after doing 100 crimes. This is a limit word. So chuhe billi khake means Billy is eating 100 mice or rats. But in other words, so gunah kar lo, baad mein tawbah kar lo, Hajj mein jaake. This is how the people are today. They have this concept of Hajj. That's Muslim. That you do 100 crimes, major crimes, okay? Be on the top in the criminal list, and then you can just go and perform your Hajj, because Rasulullah has said, "Inna al-Hajj yahdimu ma kana qablu." When you are performing the Hajj, and Hajj al-Mabrur, he said, when you perform the Hajj al-Mabrur, everything that you have done in your past, it will be erased. So this is the concept the Muslims have today, but that's wrong concept. Even today, if you see the Hajj that was performed by Ibrahim alayhi salam, if you see the Hajj that was performed by Ismail alayhi salam, if you see the Hajj performed by Hajra alayhi salatu salam, if you see the Hajj performed after the Ibrahim alayhi salam, all the other prophets and messengers who performed the Hajj, their Hajj, and if you see the Hajj of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and if you see the Hajj of the Sahaba, and you see today's Hajj, the first and the biggest difference is 5-star hotel and 7-star hotel. Yes or no? We are looking for comfort. Okay, I know there's no haram in that. You can. But if you don't have that, and if you go to, mashallah, the haram, I did my Hajj in 88, sorry. That time, the construction of Kaaba was different than today. Today, if you go to the haram, you will find that you are going into a shopping mall. It is as fancy as that. Even the Mount Safa and Marwa, wallahi, is duplicate. You can't really think that this was the Mount Safa on which, Hajra was running in between Mount Safa and Marwa. It looks like, painted. I'm not saying that Saudi government is not looking after it, but I'm saying that the reality of that Mount Safa today, which Quran says, Inna Safa wal Marwata min sha'airillah, that this is one of the doctrines, this is one of the discipline of Islam, this is one of the signs and great symbols of Islam is Mount Safa and Marwa. But today when we go and see that, you take the pictures, you will find that today it is all different. The land that we are performing the tawaf is different today. And the way Sahaba performed the tawaf, it was totally different. So this is what we have to realize, my brothers and sisters, that our objective of Hajj is not that it is a chore. No. It's not, don't search for, if you really want to go for Hajj, go with me, inshallah. I'm still young to perform Hajj with you, and we will do the Hajj without even booking the hotels. If you are ready, then we can go for this Hajj. No hotels. And I'll tell you how to ride on the camels if you want. I'll tell you how to ride on the horses if you want. And I'll tell you how to do the tawaf properly on your feet. I'll tell you how to do the tawaf and running between Safa and Marwa. That's the real Hajj. Hajj is nothing but the resemblance of standing before Allah on the Day of Judgment. Hajj is nothing, even the ihram is nothing, but Hajj is same as the kafan that you, when you are dying, your life journey is ending at the qabr and you are given 2 kafan. How many ihram we are given? 2 pieces. Why is that? Because that's the final journey of your life. And that's a resemblance to the Day of Judgment when you will be standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's the reason Rasulullah has said, when the Haji dies, bury him in his ihram. Because he will be raised on the Day of Judgment with the talbiyah from his grave. That's the objective of our religion. It's not the 2 that we are looking for. Yeah, people are thinking, yes, 5-star hotel, oh, good facilities. I want to have my hotel to be just next to the haram. Then you don't really enjoy it. Go with me, inshallah. We will be a proper soldiers of Allah. then you will realize that, alhamdulillah, how pleasure you will find when you're sleeping on the floor, not in your 5-star hotel. You will be happy to see, that there's little restaurants are there. When you buy, 5 dirhams and 5 riyals food and you sit on the floor and eat, you'll remember how the Sahaba used to perform the hajj. This is how reality it is. When you're performing your sajda on the ground, you will realize that Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he used to perform the sajda, he could see the soil is touching his forehead. And sometimes the pointed pebbles would, poke into his forehead. This enjoyment of the salah and the prayers and tawaf, running between Safa and Marwa. People, they did describe that, when I first saw the Kaaba, I started crying. That's emotional thing, my brother. That's emotional thing. But that's not the objective of our Hajj. And many of us, I'm sorry to say this, people are saying Abdul Majid is always, critical. No. This is the reality. How many of us, alhamdulillah, when we go for Hajj, we learn before going for Hajj? How many of us really learn? Even the first kalima, La ilaha illallah, when it came down, and when Allah revealed to Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he didn't say, like when he said to the Quran, Iqra, this was the first word. He said to him, read. But when the kalima was introduced to Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, remember this, doing anything before having the knowledge is dangerous. And this is the first kalima of our deen, is the first kalima, yes? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in Surah Muhammad, chapter 47, Allah is saying, Fa'alam annahu la ilaha illallah. He didn't say, Iqra, la ilaha illallah. Qul la ilaha illallah. He didn't say that. Allah didn't say to him. Allah said, you should know. You should have the knowledge of la ilaha illallah. And that's why, if you remember, how many khutbahs did I give on la ilaha illallah? 7 khutbahs. Jazakallah khairan. Yes, because there are 7 agreed conditions of La ilaha illallah, and I gave 7 khutbahs on that. So this was the term and condition before going for Hajj. How many of us we really learn Hajj? So where is the objective of it? When you are performing the Hajj, you should know why you are performing the Hajj. How can you give the answers to the Christians when they say you are worshipping the building? We are at least worshipping the man, Jesus. He's our God. Somebody is there in a real form, we are worshipping. You are worshipping the Kaaba, you are worshipping the building. How many of us can define that? How many of us can defend this allegation on Islam? People will say you are kissing the black stone. Why you are blaming Hindus? Hindus has got, their statues. They have got Ram's statue, they have Ganesh's statue, they have got Vishnu's statue. But at least they know that this is Ram, this is Ganesh, this is, Vishnu. But your stone, what name are you going to give to that stone? Is he Muhammad's stone, Abdullah's stone, Rahman's stone, Ali's stone? What name is that? You are worshipping stone. How will you defend that if you don't have the correct knowledge of his Hajj? The only simple answer is that can anybody in this world, like for example, I can say to Brother Peter, if he believes that Jesus is their God, can they step on the God? Will you step on the picture of Jesus? No, you will never stand on it. Even if I bring a picture of Jesus, you will say, no, this is disrespecting to this man, whether it is the real picture or not, but you won't do it. Yes or no? Because at least they have a respect for their God. Hindus, they have more than 1,000 statues. How many? More than 1,000 statues, and they have in their houses. They might be having, the lizards as a statue they worship. They have fire, they have sun, they have moon, they have stars. They have got, the snakes, they have got reptiles, they have got a man look like Hanuman, which has got the resemblance of a monkey. They have all those kind of different shape of gods which they worship. But none of them will ever step on their God because they respect them as God. Do we worship Kaaba as God? You will say no. But what is the dalil? The best dalil is that we can give azan on the standing on the top of Kaaba and give the azan. So we don't respect Kaaba as God. Because if you people don't step on your God, how can you expect us to stand on Kaaba, which is our God, and we give the adhan? And you know who was the first man gave the adhan on the Kaaba? Bilal. So, and hadith of Bukhari, nobody can deny. Ahmadis cannot deny, Shias cannot deny, Sufis cannot deny, Deobandis cannot deny, and AL-HAJJ cannot deny. Hadith in Sahih Bukhari, when Umar ibn Khattab was performing the Hajj, when he came to the Hajjul Aswad, when he came to the black stone, this is in Sahih Bukhari. At least you should believe in that. You may not be able to, convince the non-Muslim. That's fine, but at least you should be convinced what you're doing. And this statue, this black stone, when Umar came to it, he said, "Innaka hajarun, la tadurru wa la tanfa, walakin ra'aytu Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam yuqabbiluk fa uqabbiluk." This is very clear Arabic word. Umar is saying that I know you are only a stone, you are only a piece of rock, and you cannot harm or you cannot benefit. I kiss you. I only kiss you because I saw my beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam kissing you. So I'm following his sunnah. I know you are nothing. So this is how we are clear in our concept. So now the objective of Hajj. What is the objective of Hajj? We will inshallah go back to the Quran and Hadith. Never go back to the history, my brothers and sisters. History has been corrupted. Quran is preserved inshallah. Hadith is preserved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you have to rely on Quran and Hadith and don't rely on the history. History is now the property of the non-Muslims. They are distorting it in the way that they can. So we are confused because we are not even understanding whether this is Hadith or this is Quran or this is history. And we are confused in our religion. And that's why our youth in Luton, in 14 years so far, I have come from Dubai, 14 years in this town, I've seen that every year, good number of Muslim boys, Sunni boys, they are converting to different religion, or they are going out of the fold of Islam. And this is our, sincere effort that we are doing. Subhanallah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in the Quran 33 verses of the Quran. How many verses? 33. 33 verses of the Quran are used to explain the rituals of Hajj. It includes the history of Hajj. It includes the story of Prophet Ibrahim. It includes the story of the family of Prophet Ibrahim. It includes the Tawheed of Islam. It includes the Hajj of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It includes the Hajj of the Sahaba. It also deals with all the positive and objective of complete Hajj in these 33 verses. And subhanallah, if you people are really interested, the young ones, I don't know about the old people, they will say Abdul Majid is Buddha and he is old man, what would we will be learning? But if you people are ready, then we can go through all this like a separate class, and we can go through all these 33 verses. Let me start first. I'll give you the quick reference, so you might say that, oh no, maybe Abdul Majid is just bluffing. I'll tell you where it is mentioned. In Surah Al-Baqarah. Surah Al-Baqarah itself is 11 verses. 125, 158, 189, 196, 197, 198, 199, 200, 201, 202, 203. 11 verses in Surah Al-Baqarah. Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, 2 verses, 96, 97. This I'll be reading, inshallah, today to give you the concept and objective of our Hajj, inshallah. Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5, verses 1, 2, 9, 94, 95, and 96. 5 verses. Surah Tawbah, chapter 9, verses, 3 verses are there. Verse 2, verse 3, 36, verse 37. Surah Al-Hajj itself, the whole surah, 78 verses are there. But specific subject with regards to the Hajj, Surah Al-Hajj is chapter 22, and it has got 78 verses in total. So up and down, the whole thing is rolling around the Hajj. But specific rituals of Hajj are mentioned in 11 verses. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. 11 verses in Surah Hajj deal with the Hajj issues. And final surah is Surah Al-Fath, and that is chapter 48, just after Surah Muhammad, and verse 27. So 33 verses are all about the Hajj in the Quran. Now there is one more reason for me to bring this point to you. Because last time when I was talking to Brother Peter, they have to come in my subject because they are here. And with the respect of that, they said that zakat is mentioned 88 times in the Quran. But zakat is not mentioned in detail. It's not completely, the repetition is there, but there is no explanation to that. And as a Christian scholar, he quoted from his book that his book also speaks about the zakat. And he quoted, and believe me, with due respect to them, mashallah, and your respect, with your respect too, that one verse with zakat study in our religion is not even equal to 1%. It's less than even 1%. That 1% that is mentioned in the Bible and the zakat that we learn in our Islam from the Quran, because Quran does speak about it. I did tell him that is not one place. Quran speaks about zakat of gold. Quran speaks about zakat of silver, which is not that very clear in the Bible. Quran speaks about zakat of cattle, animals. Quran speaks about zakat of the vegetables, the food that comes from the ground. Quran speaks about zakat, that is when a person is reaching certain distance or age. Quran speaks about zakat of the orphans. Quran speaks zakat of the divorcees. Quran speaks zakat of the widows. Quran speaks zakat of the general people. Quran speaks about zakats in a detailed way, and practical aspect is shown by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's one of the reasons why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was with the people for 23 years. And we can give excuse to the Christians because their prophet practically lived with them for 3 years. Jesus with the people was for 3 years. And it's a big difference when a person is teaching people for 23 years and a person teaching people for 3 years. So alhamdulillah, zakat is something that is, so this is one of the reasons why I brought this 33 references of Hajj for my brothers as well, Peter and Rob. They are my brothers, alhamdulillah, and I respect their research. So for them and for your information as well, my brothers and sisters, Hajj is not one verse or two verses in the Quran. Hajj is discussed in the Quran in 33 verses, which are rituals of Hajj. But as I said, there is the whole chapter called Suratul Hajj, which has got 78 verses itself in that surah. So definitely it is discussing about Hajj in a detailed manner. Alhamdulillah. So this was my first point. Now the objective. Now all of you have to, mashallah, keep your heart strong. The history of Hajj. The history of Hajj, all of us will be thinking the history of Hajj starts from Prophet Ibrahim. Yes or no? How many of you say yes? The Hajj was before Ibrahim? Don't say yes if you really know, because alhamdulillah, I'm like a father figure to you, don't worry. If you don't know, I'm not testing you, I'll inshallah educate you. Alhamdulillah. But Hajj was from the time of Adam alayhi salam. Hajj was from the time of Adam alayhi salam. Abdul Majid, what is your dalil? Huh? Any Ahl-Hadith will say, Abdul Majid, dalil do. I'm there, mashallah, no problem. Quran says in Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verses 96 and 97. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Qul sadaqallah, that was the definition I was talking about the book. It says, Inna awwala baytin wudi'a lin-nas lilladhi bi Bakkata mubarakan. By the way, our scholars who debate the Christian scholars, they say this word Bakkah is found in the Bible. And after the research of Brother Peter, he says that has got nothing to do with the Makkah. I agree with it because it is his research. As a Christian, he will say that it is not. But our scholars, like Sheikh Ahmad Didar, Dr. Zakir Naik, and all other, mashallah, the scholars who debate the Christian scholars, and they have a deep understanding of the history from the Bible, the historical events in the Bible, historical events in the Quran. They say this word Bakkah is mentioned with the same word Bakkah in the Bible. Okay, so for your information, you don't have to be, it's not necessary for you to believe that it is there in the Bible so your iman will be complete. No. Even if you don't believe it, whether it is in the Bible or not, at least it is in your Quran. So that is what it is important for you to remember. So Bakkah and Makkah, the same name, same place with two names. Inna awwala baytin wudi'a lin-nas lalladhi bi Bakkata mubarakan wa hudan lil alamin. Fihi ayatun bayyinatun muqamu Ibrahim wa man dakhalahu kana aminan wa lillahi 'ala an-nasi hajjul bayti man istata'a ilayhi sabila. وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ عَنِ الْعَالَمِينَ. Allahu Akbar. Verses 96 and 97 of chapter 3, Surah Al-Imran. Simple verse. But it has got the history of our Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, the first house of Allah, Inna awwala baytin. It refers to the house. The first house of Allah. وُضِعَ لِلنَّاسِ, established for the people. لَلَّذِي بِبَكَّةَ مُبَارَكًا. It is in Bakkah, and it is a blessed land. وَهُدًى, and it is a guidance لِلْعَالَمِينَ, for the whole mankind. So the Kaaba is not for the Muslims only, or Kaaba was not actually the property of Prophet Muhammad when he conquered. It is the property of the whole humanity, for the whole humans. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that is the source for guidance. Allahu Akbar. Now as Muslims, you have to work hard with this. How can Kaaba be the source for guidance? That is one of the points of our objective for the Hajj. But this is Allah is saying, that is not the guidance for you people, which subhanallah, we Muslims perform Hajj and we don't even understand what is the objective. But Allah is saying the Hajj, this house of Allah is established, which is one of the best, source for the guidance for the whole humanity, for the whole alameen. Fihi ayatun, and there are signs. Bayyinatun, clear signs. If you remember, I said one thing about the signs. Zamzam water. Zamzam water is the water that will remain till the day of judgment, when people will be all over the world, all this technology, the people will be striving and struggling to get one drop of water, clear water, and the time is coming soon. That will be a natural disaster from Allah. Remember, I'm just giving you a hint. Very soon, the time will come, like 60 crore. I don't know how much is 60 crore in the English counting? Huh? 600 million. 60 crore Indians, they don't have water, clean water in India. India is now going to be the strongest country of the world now, according to their claims. And 60 crore humans in India, they don't have water. Remember that. So this is a sign from Allah, and Allah is saying that in Makkah, in Kaaba, you have one sign. There are many signs, clear signs, but one sign is Zamzam water. Count how many people drink this water every second, not every day, not every minute. Just count. And this water, according to us, it was given to Hajra when she was rubbing with her heel, and Allah gave this water to her. And Ibrahim a.s. even asked Christians, it's millions of years ago, the heritage of Ibrahim is there. And that water has been gushed out from the paradise, for your information. Where did it come from? It is a stream that flows from the Jannah, paradise, and that will remain even the time, like you can see in Israel, there is this river which is drying. If you don't have that knowledge, but you can work out. There's a sea which is mentioned in the hadith, and that sea is drying. So, this is one of the signs which Allah is saying, Fihi ayatum bayyinatun. It has got clear signs, not one sign, clear signs. Maqamu Ibrahim, and one of the signs is the place of Ibrahim. Allah is referring to the heritage of Ibrahim. Now, the history of the house of Allah is connected to the life of Ibrahim al-Sam. وَمَنْ دَخَلَهُ كَانَ آمِنًا. And anybody who enters in this house, they will be under the protection of Allah. And merits and virtues will come, inshallah, in next Jummah. وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ. And this is compulsory upon the people, for the sake of Allah. Hijjul Bayti, that they should go for the Hajj. Man istata'a ilayhi sabila, if they have the means to go for the Hajj. Now this, inshallah, as Muslims, we should know what are the means to go for Hajj, and when the Hajj becomes obligatory, and upon whom it becomes obligatory, and those who have to go now, and it has become obligatory, and if they don't go and delay it, what are the consequences for them? That, inshallah, will come in the future khutbahs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning here, وَمَنْ كَفَرَ. And those who are rejecting these verses and signs of Allah and this obligation, importance of this Hajj and the objectives of this Hajj, وَمَنْ كَفَرَ, those who deny this, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ, Allah is self-sufficient. عَنِ الْعَالَمِينَ, even the whole world reject that, Allah is not in need of that. They can't benefit Allah if they all believe in it. They can't harm Allah if they all reject it. So, alhamdulillah, many more things to come, my brothers and sisters. If I'll tell you everything, the next Jummah you won't be coming. So inshallah, this is the way of how I do the fishing, alhamdulillah. I'm a very expert sportsman even in fishing. So, so please, this will be a continuation, inshallah. There are 3 main subjects to deal with the objectives, which inshallah I will deal more. This is the first point, that this is the first house of Allah, built for Tawheed, built for oneness of Allah, guidance for the mankind, and a protection for the whole humanity. So this is the first objective that we have to understand behind the Hajj, inshallah. Inna Allaha wa malaikatu yusalluna ala nabi. يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وأقم الصلاة. يوسف إقامة.